May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I just came from the gym and had this that was weighing on my heart, and I want to be able to just reach out to my audience. Hopefully, it may actually help someone out there that may be struggling with mental health, or they know that they want to, or thinking about either talking to someone, or they're not in a good mind space and don't know what to do. I myself have dealt with mental health issues, anxiety, stress, and things of that nature, and just trying to figure out how to best work within the confines of your mental health. Sometimes people think about mental health, oh, someone's crazy or they're not really, in the right mind. But mental health can be something really simple. And as we know, our body follows our mental and our spiritual self. So if you don't have your mental health in check and working on it, improving, just like your physical, I've gained so much weight in the last few years, especially with COVID, and I'm just now getting back into the gym. And this was part of that whole journey with me just dealing with anxiety. So I had really bad anxiety. I was having some issues, didn't know what was going on with me. So I went to, my doctor, and they, pretty much checked me out from top to bottom, did all kind of tests, heart tests, all kind of stuff or whatever. And they just couldn't find anything that really was wrong with me besides maybe the acid reflux or something to that nature that was causing me to have issues where I felt like I was not so much having a heart attack, but something weird. Anytime you have something weird going on in that chest area, you always get kind of concerned. So for the most part, I went everywhere and I just couldn't figure out what was going on with me. And, my doctor was good enough to say, hey, maybe you need to actually talk to a therapist. And I was like, a therapist? I didn't, what do I need to talk to a therapist for? And I really didn't understand, because every time I would come there and she would check me out, I'm leaving there and she was very concerned that all of this was coming from my mental. And, I would come home and talk to my wife about it. I'm sure she got tired of me actually talking about, some of these issues or whatever, because it wasn't anything that was life threatening or anything like that. And I was causing my own self to, get anxious about what's going on with you. What is that? What is that? And other stuff, the pandemic was going on, all kind of just craziness was going on during that time, the end of 2020 and 2021. So I want to say it was about mid 2021 where I got to a point where I didn't even want to leave the couch, because I felt like I was going to die. Just because of the issues or whatever. I didn't want to move too much, because I felt like if I moved too much, it would cause some issues. But then I go back, to the doctor, and just back and forth with that. So I kept going that way, thinking that, and it just was causing me to have a really bad quality of life. My kids was wondering what was going on with me. My wife was, just concerned about me. And she said, hey, Chris, please just try to go talk to a therapist. And I would hear her say that. But the thing about it is, I wasn't mentally ready to actually make that journey to go talk to a therapist. And I was just in a bad place. It's like now, having gone through therapy, I can see people or hear people and understand where they're coming from. And just that mental hurdle of doing certain things is very difficult. And a lot of people don't really understand it. I come from the old school where someone's like, well, nothing wrong with you or whatever. You got to get out of your own head, or you got to forget about it or whatever. Do something to distract you. But when it comes to true mental health, you can't really compartmentalize things like that, because it's going to come back. It may not come back in a week, or it may not come back in a day, but it's going to come back in some form or fashion. And if you have not trained your brain on how to work within, the confines of your brain, and also work through those issues, and to, when these issues come up, that you don't panic, that you don't, go into a state of shock or something traumatic, you're really gonna do yourself a disservice. So I want to say maybe 3 months had gone by, and I decided, hey, let me just actually try to find someone to talk to. So I talked to a very good friend of mine. She told me someone that she had talked to and was very good, and this guy was a godsend. When I first came in, the first few sessions, we was meeting once a week, and I could just break down and just a lot of stuff, just from my past, just things that was going on, things I needed to really speak on. A lot of times, from speaking and these issues that are going on with you, you tend to not reveal all the stuff, either with a spouse or a loved one or whatever. But it seems like this person that you don't even know, you probably don't have any kind of judgment against you, the therapist, and you feel like you just unpack everything. And they're trained to do that. They understand what to say, what buttons to push, when to pull back. But for me, I was in there probably the first month just, I'm a very emotional person anyway, and just bawling. And, your experience may not be the same way. You may go in there and you just talk it out or whatever. Some people are a lot harder to kind of bring things out. I believe that I was just ready to actually have someone to just let them know how I was feeling, and just understanding, what do I need to actually resolve this? So I went in with the mindset of, hey, what's the problem? Let's just fix it and be done with it. It doesn't work that way all the time. It probably doesn't ever work that way. What I learned from therapy was, hey, let's figure out and just build our tool set so that when things come up, you can be able to pull this certain tool to address an issue that may come up. Let's actually strengthen our mental health, and so that when these things come up, because things are going to come up, they're going to come up, and sometimes they're going to come up in the wrong time. So we went through weeks and weeks and just adjustments, ups and downs, and it was quite a ride. I'm still in therapy now, but I'm happy to say I'm only going once a month now, just so I can be able to keep that maintenance, just so I can just check in, just so, keeping everything in line and not to revert back to some of those bad habits. But going back to just, my time, it was very refreshing to go through that experience, because I could see the improvement in my thought process. My whole family was aware with my journey within this, my wife and my kids. So I would always make sure that they knew that, hey, I had my session today, or with my daughter and my son. I was like, hey, I spoke to my therapist, and just so that they can normalize that as something that when we get to a point and we need to speak to someone, we speak to someone. And I would say that, as a man, a lot of times we don't always go and address things like we're supposed to. And I know I don't want to hear from all the men. Well, go and address not all men, but in society we know that men don't go out and do what they're supposed to do all the time. And as a black man, in our community, we haven't had the best of thoughts on therapy. And I just want, everyone out there just to know that, it's okay. And what I did learn was, in therapy, that, you're enough. A lot of times we think that, I gotta have this, I gotta do this, and we bring that mental stress onto ourselves, and that doesn't help. And a lot of times we have to be able to kind of stop, look at all we've been grateful for, but also to understand that we're enough. And then also just to bring it into the entrepreneurship, a lot of times we think that we need to do all these different things, but you have everything that you need within yourself. You have everything you need to be able to execute and to be able to build your business. And also on a personal growth standpoint, it's important that we have a grip on our mental health, strengthen it, just like our physical. We go into the gym, we work out, we're trying to improve our physicality and to improve our health. But that's a part of our health too, the mind. Without that, we don't have anything. And also our spiritual health. We have to make sure that we're doing everything to feed the soul. But yeah, just going back, I know I may be kind of rambling a little bit. I told you I just came from the gym and I want to get this out there to someone that may be either suffering or just wondering. It doesn't hurt anything. Just try to make the appointment. And I know it can be hard, but try to see if you can speak to someone that's reputable. Everyone can't be a therapist. If you're not trained, don't just take someone's advice. That's another mistake that people do. They may go to a friend or a family member, or someone that's not trained to be a therapist, and they give them the wrong information, wrong advice. They're trying to help them, but they're not really helping them. So, you got to make sure you're aware of that as well, because again, the therapists are trained to deal with these situations. And, try to normalize just mental health with your kids. They need to understand that coming into this kind of work, there's so much going on nowadays for kids versus when we were younger. And they need as much help and support as they can get. And coming out of the pandemic, everyone has been affected with their mental health in some form or capacity. So just my message out there, if you're struggling with mental health, I'm there for you. If you have any questions or anything like that, or if you want to, if you need a therapist or whatever, I know a great one. But talk to your friends, talk to someone that may be going through it, that may be able to refer a good therapist to you. But also make sure we stay in contact with people, because a lot of people are out there struggling now. There's a lot of people, we have the recession, we have inflation, we have coming out of the pandemic, we're still in the pandemic. We have a lot of stuff going on, and we're still trying to live this life. We only have one life, and we got to do as much as we can to be able to make the best of it. So